If not, okay, I heard a motion and
I'll support.
yeah. Oh, hit record. Thank you, Rob. Hang on. Oh, who needs, let's see. Record. There we go. Thank you. Record on the cloud. Oh, and Kathy,
recording
when you
in progress.
Okay.
What you'll need to do is hit the record on the cloud. So it doesn't go to your computer, but it'll go right into I have this is on the Scio Township Zoom account. So that the recording will go there if you hit record to the cloud.
So record to the cloud, just you hit the record button at the bottom of the...
Right, and it gives you two choices on your computer or the cloud. And if you hit the cloud, then your computer doesn't have to use storage capacity. Thank you, Rob.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the Scio Township Environmental Sustainability Task Force meeting, June 8th. And we have a motion to approve the agenda as posted. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, and on we go. Any communications or correspondence? I think since last time we haven't had any more feedback on the plan. So that's I haven't really heard anything else from folks. So
somebody tell me how to get my picture in.
Your picture in. There should be a little video icon.
Bottom left corner.
Bottom left corner, yeah.
Here, I'm going to ask you to start your video. That might give you a prompt.
Okay.
Woohoo! There you are.
Voila.
Oh, you have some interesting art behind you.
I do. Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right. Then on we go. No presentations, public comment. Any comment from our guests and public?
Not tonight, but the LPC meeting was very interesting to watch.
All right. Yeah, maybe Marty can give us a little update.
Oh, yeah. The hydrological study that has not been done. No, they did not refuse to do it. They just hadn't got it done, but they did draw up a plan to do it. And they said somebody approved of that plan. I don't know who.
Well, it'll be an interesting PC meeting on Monday, just to give people a little heads up. Roger Rail is going to present with his mapping, and we're going to have a presentation by the utilities department. So there'll be some information coming in. There'll be go ahead, Jan. There'll be a memorandum from Larry Lemke, who reviewed the work plan. And they're basically requesting preliminary site plan approval contingent on doing the test. So we'll just see how that transpires. So tune in. There are also, I think we have four different projects on the agenda, so it'll be a long night. All right. Continuing on.
I need more help. I'm seeing my picture, but I'm not seeing you guys. How do I do that?
Okay, you need to go to the view. There should be a view control somewhere.
Upper right corner.
Top right. Yeah. And if you click on the view and look for gallery view, you should be able to click gallery view.
Wait a minute. Stop video. Wait a minute. Share.
You don't want to stop video. No.
No.
Also, if you're
using it on your phone, you might be able to swipe to the side. I think it'll
Oh,
only
no, I've got my iPad.
It might be the same on the iPad. If you try swiping to the right or left, does it show like at least 4 of us? Because I've had that issue before when I use a phone.
There are 10, it shows the 10 participants. A list of them, but I don't have the,
You don't see them.
no. No,
Hmm.
there isn't.
I haven't used an iPad.
Well, let's all
Oh,
just
well.
try to identify ourselves when we talk.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I get you.
Okay, I'm Jan. I'm talking. All right. Anything else from the public? All right. Then, yes, Kyle, what have you and Zoe been up to?
Yeah, so I'll keep this brief. I don't have any slides or anything to share. I think almost half the people here I've talked to a lot about this already, but Zoe and I are going to work again as interns this summer through the month of August to help get buy-in as the climate action plan is
Hey,
approved.
I got it.
Oh, nice. Sorry, I forgot to announce this, Kyle.
Sorry, yeah, for breaking in.
But yeah, we've been working for a few weeks now, really just getting started. Zoe will be back next week because she's been away for a week or so. But basically, like I said, our goal is to meet with township stakeholders, organizations that we had talked with during our survey and interviews and all that last summer, and go to their meetings throughout the next 3 months over the summer, tell them about the plan, a rundown of what's happened the past 2 years, some basic information on what's included. And then what we'll do is try to cater some points or key sections of the plan to each group we meet with and try to get buy-in, try to get them something that sticks that they can actually act on and try to get some kind of verbal commitment and acknowledgement that, this plan is going to be approved very soon, and for it to be effective, everybody needs to play a role. So that's our goal. I've started to make a slide deck that we'll use generally that I could share once it's complete with everybody for these meetings. And otherwise, so far, we wrote a piece for the newsletter, just kind of reminding everybody, same thing, what we've done, that we're here, what we plan to do, and what the goal is once this plan gets approved in a few months by the board. And also, end goal, working towards planning an event at the firehouse or working with the event that's already going to be going on to kind of raise awareness, get people involved in person, interact with this plan. That's kind of a work in progress, but that's also one of our end goals is to establish some kind of presence at that event in October.
Okay, great. And we are trying to, it got a little slow start on the native planting for the firehouse, and we don't quite have a date yet for that, but they have ordered the plants. And so we're going to kind of set a date for getting that done. And it's kind of interesting. I've already had a couple of people ask about the seed mix that is going underneath the solar array. So that will be interesting. All right. And then just let's see. Oh yeah. As a part of a sustainability plan moving forward, what we thought we would do is combine the buildings and sort of resilience group and separate the ag. Water and natural ecosystems will still stay together because there's a lot of synergy there, but some of the work that can be done with farmers and so forth, is sort of on a different there are different stakeholders, if you will, for that. And then by just putting all the buildings and buildings and resilience kind of go together. Resilience also has some links with the natural ecosystems around flooding.
Where are you going to put the ag?
Ag will have their own group.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and I want to comment. Thank you, Kathy. Kathy volunteered to be the SEMCOG rep, so that's a real transportation oriented group. And Kathy Knoll is going to continue as being the official delegate, but Kathy is going to actually go to the meetings and report and stuff and be our official alternate. So that way we haven't had representation in SEMCOG. And one of the big pieces of SEMCOG right now is one, they have a 2050 vision that we need to provide input to, which means including our kind of north-south pathway connections so that the Jackson Road corridor gets connected to all the resources on the river. And the other thing is they're one of the jurisdictions in Michigan that can apply directly for climate action funding.
Who is Jackson?
No, the SEMCOG. So
SEMCOG.
There are 3 entities in Michigan that can, and this is millions. I don't know if it hits billions, but it's millions of dollars. There's Grand Rapids, there's the state of Michigan, and SEMCOG is doing the Detroit area, and we just happen to be affiliated with SEMCOG. So those are all. So we'll be able to hopefully channel some money from, SEMCOG and perhaps also the state. So, having those 2 options is better than having one. And you're competing with fewer townships or counties or whatever. And so Kathy she's been attending some of those grant writing meetings, and now she'll also be attending some of the general SEMCOG meetings. So yeah, thank you. That's a big take on. So
yeah, and they're not so much grant writing. I know nothing about grant writing. So
yeah.
This was, but about what the grants are for and just some background on them.
Right, and what's neat is we've already sent the draft, and we'll send once the plan gets approved, our climate action plan, both to the state and to SEMCOG, because that helps build support and multi jurisdictional support for the grant. So the plan is coming in handy already. Okay. We did have Elizabeth, I don't think is on tonight, but she did confirm that she would be a part. The other part of the implementation plan is to have a grant writing committee. And we will be, if anybody knows of anyone that has grant writing capacity and experience, Elizabeth Laporte does. She worked for the University of Michigan Graham Sustainability Institute for a long time, and she has volunteered to be part of that committee. And so I estimate we need probably 2 other people, just because, someone might not be with volunteers, someone might not be available. Sometimes if you can parse it out, it's a much more manageable effort. So we'll be recruiting a couple more grant writing folks because it's, there's still there'll be Inflation Reduction Act funding coming out, and there's still the infrastructure bill funding that the DOE are rolling out grants. And I'll tell you, the DOE grants are scary. The amount of just stuff you've got to pull together for it. But in any event, and that'll also be, able to pursue grants for a wide variety of things, and have that committee through the trustees and the hopefully our new manager will be able to maintain relationships with our legislators, because that's the other source of grant funding. So then moving on, I want to invite everyone. We are going to have a Planning Commission working session on June 26th. That will be we'll be discussing the environmental sustainability, the final plan, and how that relates to our ordinance work moving forward, and specifically the Jackson Road corridor. And part of the Jackson Road corridor kind of relook is identifying more placemaking opportunities, so the corridor isn't a corridor, but actually, has a variety of places, and more of a mix of multifamily housing, and becomes also multimodal transit friendly. So that'll be a good discussion, and certainly the climate action plan fits into that very well. So we're hoping that in that session, the Planning Commission could approve it, and it could move on then to the trustees sometime in July. And it would be the 3rd anniversary sometime in July of everything getting started. So it'd be kind of fun if we could.
Jan, is that during your regular 7:00 meeting?
Yeah, it
Okay.
is. It's a regular meeting, and I am going to put it on for discussion and possible action, just because it's been there, they've seen parts of it. So we'll see how that transpires. We're going to also invite the trustees to be to zoom in, as well as the other, like the PPP and land preservation. So hopefully everyone can get a good look. We're on track to publish, and I don't know, Marty, if that one map has any chance of getting in next week, but we'll probably be publishing it by the end of next week. And we can anytime you get that map, we can put it in.
The guy who's going to do it is sitting right there.
Oh, yes. Oh, Norm. Hi.
Norm Roller.
Yes. So if possible, but we'll hold it because it'll have to go to the trustees, and we can always insert that map. It's a map of that illustrates. We have a map of
imperviousness
2010.
and tree canopy.
Yeah, it's tree canopy and impervious surfaces. The difference between 2010 and 2022, I believe.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So but we'll hold a place in it, so we can put it in kind of at any time. But yeah. So just so you know that schedule. I'm trying to write the executive summary, and I may send that either to Elizabeth or Kathy for a second review, just to look at my grammar, my everything else. So that's that. Let's see, if people are interested, this is more of an announcement, but A20 week is this week, which is, a celebration. This is the 3rd year, I think, of the A20 plan being adopted. And if anyone's going to the summer festival, on Saturday, they're going to have a tent there, and evidently you can go in and see some mapping of solar and solar access and so forth. And they're having a bunch of festivities. So if you're planning on going downtown Ann Arbor, that'd be a fun thing to participate in. They also have, if you go on the website, they have events almost every day for A20. Let's see. Oh, yes. And I am making an appointment to go in as Planning Commission Chair to meet our new township manager. And I'm going to ask ahead of time. I've sent the email whether or not, Kyle and and Zoe wanted to kind of meet her as well, to introduce kind of the work they're doing over the summer. And part of what we're trying to do is develop just I don't know if you'd call it a PowerPoint curriculum, whatever. This is the sustainability plan, and this is how, we're working to implement it in Scio, and, have a discussion about, how she sees the operations and sort of the community engagement moving forward with it. That's sort of the topic. So it'll be nice to meet her and hopefully give her a little bit of history of what's been going on. So with that, anyone else have any other news? I mean, any of the groups, as you've been, anything going on with waste, or Jeff?
Yeah, I'll chime in here.
Yeah.
So our group has been, well, I'll start with a little background.
Mm-hmm.
Last month, I was at the Michigan Recycling Conference
Ooh.
in Kalamazoo. And as part of that, I got to tour the Chopin Recycling Electronics plant. So they take electronics there, they break it all down. What they can't resell or repair, they grind up and sell off the materials. They're also R2 certified, which means they are audited to make sure they are handling any hazardous waste properly. Also, any data that comes in is either wiped, guaranteed wiped, or the device is physically destroyed. So I was really impressed with their facility. And I found out that they will travel to places to do electronics collection events. So I floated the idea by the group, our group, and said, hey, how about we contact the Chopin Electronics Recycling folks and see if they could come out and do one for us. And
Hasn't
so
Ann Arbor done something like that? I dimly recall taking in an old something.
Yes.
Yeah, Pioneer High School, they used to do them.
Yeah.
Pioneer High School, they do those events. And that place was, every time they hold that, the parking lot of Pioneer High School is absolutely slammed. From 9 a.m. till 3 a.m., you can be waiting for half an hour to drop off your stuff. There was also one last year at the Dexter Township Hall. And that was much more low-key. I was in and out in 5 minutes. But this is something that I think our township residents would benefit from. So I just put the feeler out there, and I had a call. Karen was on the call as well. And we talked with Josh Bloomquist, who's the director of the electronics marketing outreach area, and just discussed the possibilities. Could we have one? And what would it entail? So we got a rough idea of what it might cost. We had a couple of different models. We could have, there's no charge to anybody dropping stuff off unless they have CRT televisions, for example. And they have to dispose of those. They got to pay to get rid of those. So they would charge. So one model is that way. The other is the township pays for it all, and residents can bring in anything they want, drop it off for free. They bill the township later. So a couple of possibilities there. They're also open to just about any size. So we could do a morning only event. We could do a township only event. We could do a countywide. So we were just kind of bouncing ideas off of each other. Nothing firmed up yet, but I wanted to run this by the entire task force and just say, this is something I think we should continue to work on. It's something value added, and there is money in our recycling budget to cover something like this. So I think it would be a really nice thing to do for the township, and I'd like to move ahead and see if we can come up with a plan and a quote.
Yeah, because it might even be worth coordinating with, since we have the home toxics thing with the county, doing
Mhm.
something that maybe they could help. Because do they need like a certain number of volunteers to help too, or did they talk about that type of thing?
All he talked about was how many staff, they're flexible and how many staff they can bring out and what kind of vehicle they bring. They can bring, a trailer, they can bring a box truck, whatever they need to do, up to a 53-foot truck.
Mhm.
Okay.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That would be cool. I'm wondering even if it would be too much, or it might be interesting to include that in our, although that's a Sunday and I don't know if they would do a Sunday, but if we also had the recycling event at the same time as we had our, the firehouse open house, maybe we could use the county property for the recycling event and then have more vendors and so forth at the township hall, and then have the family activities and some education around the solar at the firehouse. So you'd have kind of a 3-stop thing, and maybe certain people would come to one thing and go, oh, what's happening over there? And so I don't know. It might be.
I think it's worth discussing. On the other hand, electronics is something that could be very popular, and we would have to talk about traffic flow.
Right.
I mean, if we held it in the back of the township hall, we could be the same thing as when we did specialty recycling.
Mhm.
But I don't know what kind of response we're going to get. One idea we talked about was floating the idea out there, picking a date and having people sign up.
Mhm, mhm.
And
Yeah,
then
so
we
you'd
could
have
charge
an appointment basically.
an appointment, basically, yeah, I'll be there from 10 to 10:30,
Mhm, mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And we could start small, and if it works, we can do another one, or we can do a larger one.
Yeah. I'm just thinking if we could use the county, you could actually have the county and the road commission drives, you could do something that would be totally separate from what was
We
happening. in the
probably
township.
could.
Yeah,
We probably could, but still, we're talking about Zeb Road as a pinch point.
that's true.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a toughie.
Yeah.
Well, on a Sunday, at least you're not competing against other traffic, which is helpful. Yeah.
This is true.
Uh-huh. Okay, well, I think that's great, Jeff. If you have any, I'm just thinking any information when I meet with Joyce, just some of the ideas that were floating. For instance, I don't know if we've heard anything else from Project Grow.
No,
We have
unfortunately, I have not.
I can give her some links to some of the EV stuff and so forth. So just to give her ideas of, I mean, this group has done a lot of research and has a lot of good ideas to put forward. Okay.
Looking back when we did the Saturday recycle events and we did those two cleanup events during the year when we took electronics and took everything, actually including the kitchen sink. When I think back on that and I think about the electronics that we took, and I try to separate that and think of it as that would have been the only thing we were taking, I would say we probably would not have a real big traffic issue. If it's the same as back then, and that's also assuming it was more of a Scio event. Obviously if we open it up to the county, then I think we'd get slammed. But I think if it was more of a Scio event, I think it wouldn't be that bad.
Back then, we didn't have, I should say I have probably 3 to 4 times the amount of electronics I had 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've been stacking them up. So.
Yep.
Well, there you go.
One of the little fun
see
facts.
This printer behind me?
One of the little fun facts I learned at the tour was, first of all, that 75% of American households have got unused electronics, obsolete electronics. It represents the largest depository of unused electronics, people's homes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So there's a market out there.
Yeah.
People want to get rid of it, but somebody like me, we just cleaned out my mother-in-law's house, and she had 2 old laptops and a printer and a couple other things. And I took them to Recycle Ann Arbor because we didn't have an electronics event to take them to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But this is going on all over, and I think for us to do one would be pretty nice.
Yeah. That's great. Thank you, Jeff. That's awesome.
So Charlie, let's talk about moving forward. I have his contact information. we can get back to them and ask for a quote based on what we think would be an appropriately sized
Excellent.
event.
Okay.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
called,
and
they called
do
for the meeting at 5 and I made it home at 5:50, so it didn't work out very well.
That's okay. I took notes.
Yeah, thanks.
It was a high level
Yeah.
discussion anyway.
and if you could send Kathy some stuff for the minutes, just on the, who it is and
Sure.
yeah, that'd be great. Mhm.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, that's all.
Okay. Anyone else? Any other groups have anything they want to talk about?
When I was up on the Bruce Peninsula last weekend, I found a nice summary that they had put together for the northern part of the peninsula. And it's an action plan, and it's got very concrete things in it that all the people up there can participate in. So that was a very nice brochure, and I'll give it to Marty if you can bring it over.
Okay, great.
And the other
Thank
one
you.
was a climate conscious angler. This is from a Trout Unlimited magazine. Very personal again, things that you can do as an individual. And I thought working some of that into our materials would be a good thing.
That we can, share that people can actually use. That's neat. Yeah, our honeymoon was in the Bruce Peninsula up at Tobermory.
Yes, that's what
Yeah.
we were.
It's a gorgeous place. All right. Moving to public comment, any other comments on what we've talked about this evening?
Sure. Pam Boyd. Jeff, I really like your idea about the computer recycle, turn in, whatever. I think that would be a really great idea. And I'm just kind of mentally thinking about all the computer equipment we have too in our house that, it sits there gathering dust because, there is no necessarily any place to go turn it in. So I would heartily encourage you to continue doing that. Thank you.
Great. Rob. We didn't, surprisingly, I got several folks, the co-housing must have, published it in whatever they do. We got probably 4 individuals that commented from that. Other than that, it was maybe 3 or 4. So not a huge amount. We did get the best feedback we got was from the Huron River Watershed Council. They actually went through and made comments on different parts and say, consider this or consider that we're incorporating. But we ended up with actually another person who's very interested in transportation. So we may be adding to the transportation group with that individual. So I wouldn't say it was, overwhelming. We got nothing back from the county. We got Suzanne Flowers, good job. It's more like, what I would say content based. Most of it, the most content based was the Huron River Watershed Council. They did a really nice job, and I'm putting all of those things in a folder in our Google Drive, so those will be accessible too, so people can look at those. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting as it actually goes for approval, and hopefully people will, look at it. I think it'll be good. And like I said, the Planning Commission is already kind of, taking on some of the ordinance things, which I think is helpful. I just wish we could move faster, but Chris Chang was saying, you're moving faster than Ann Arbor. So I'm just going, oh, gee, I don't know if that means anything. But yeah, I think that'll be good. Great. Thank you. Anything else?
Could I ask, as we go forward, assuming this all gets adopted and we're moving forward and we're trying to forward all the goals that are in here, is this task force going to basically keep, other than those changes you talked about earlier, basically keep its same shape and keep the same subcommittees, and we work on forwarding those particular items?
Yeah, what's sort of in the plan as implementation is to have a coordinating group that is actually township leadership. So it's probably a little bit of that management group that's been meeting on Mondays, only it would add LPC, PPP, Planning Commission, DDA, and they would meet kind of quarterly to say, okay, this is what we're working on. This is how we're doing it. And it would include both township operations and as a coordinating body for the other, commissions that are happening. So that there's an effort of what are the priorities that we're working on, and funding, what kind of needs do we have, what kind of research needs do we have, because the task force is great at research and coming up with and helping with planning events or providing research for different actions. So I sort of see it that way. So the task force will be, of course, pushing the township along, right? But they'll also be supporting some of the leadership efforts, because as I was looking at it, the township does not have a huge staff, and it's really going to be one, laying a foundation so everyone has what the plan is, what the purpose of it is, how can I support the plan in how I do my job. And then the other component, which I think the task force will be more involved with, is the community piece. So how do we really get resources and get people excited about different personal actions that they can take to support the plan? And that's a little bit of what, Kyle and Zoe are doing, from an both the education piece and also the communications. It'll be interesting to see now that there's an IT person that started with the township to see how we can boost how we're using our website too. And I'm hopeful that there'll be we can generate some interest in actions also at the event, and if we can, things like even the Solarize program, if we could get a few HOAs to sponsor a Solarize for their residents, or a few people to take on, it's going to be incremental, but as more and more people see what they can do, I think it will spread. So we'll see how that all works. It was interesting. There was I was on a panel that was actually supported by the Indian government in India, looking at climate action, and they had invited a professor in behavioral psychology, and he talked about the most powerful movements are really individuals that are willing to take action and then talk about it. And so if we can, as the Environmental Sustainability Task Force, individually take some actions and share what we're doing and how we're doing it, it sort of multiplies. And he said that that's much more effective than actually strategic education because it's a peer-to-peer kind of thing. So I thought that was an interesting research point. Mhm. So anyway, we'll do both. All right, minutes. Anyone have any revisions or additions to the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, is there support? Okay, Charlie and Marty. All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, great. So I'm not going to be able to be here. We thought we'd skip July 4th because it sounds like a lot of people were busy that week. And so Kathy's going to chair our July 13th. So hopefully we will, I'm hoping we'll be through the planning commission and we'll have had our meeting with the new township manager. And Kyle and Zoe will do their report, and hopefully we'll have some progress. And yeah, if we can work on that electronics recycling, it sounds like that'd be a nice thing to do either at the same time or in addition to. And I suspect the planting may move, closer to fall. With the fire station, just because you don't want to it's harder to do it in the middle of the summer. Although the firefighters might enjoy watering. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, any other announcements? August 25th is the next deadline for the newsletter. So hopefully the fall newsletter, we can get out a whole article and of what we're going to be doing in October. That's a perfect time to let the entire township know of the event. So we'll hopefully reserve a whole page of fun things that folks can do.
Have you got any committee that is thinking about what to do to plan an event?
I think that would be a good thing to Kyle and Zoe, maybe you guys can, even at the next meeting, brainstorm some things about what we want to do, because obviously they're going to be families, and we have what can happen at the fire station with the solar, and also what we can use the township hall. I have a pretty good vendor list. We can also, I know I can get the vendor list from the city of Ann Arbor. If we want to have people that are, talking about solar, talking about heat pumps, talking about, Jeff, you can do, the zero waste stuff. We can coordinate with the county for some of their programs, especially the conservation district.
And who's going to organize it all? I mean, well, I hear the ideas, but if we want to make these things real, we got to have people who will do it.
Exactly. And it's basically going to be this committee doing it. Yep. Marty laughs.
Surprise.
Surprise.
Would it make sense at our next meeting in July to talk a little bit about maybe each of these groups think about one activity they could set up and or one kind of vendor they might want to try and get in related to their area of expertise? I think just brainstorm it a little bit and not go out and make contacts yet, but just here's an idea.
Yeah, I think each of the groups could come up with a couple ideas and a couple of vendors and things that would, what do they want? What do you think from the plan is important to engage and excite people about? And I know we can lean on both some of the, the conservation district. They would love to have, their rain barrels, their, talk about their conservation things. They have the no-till equipment in our parking lot. So I think there are a lot of opportunities. Yep. So that can go on the agenda for the next meeting. Okay. And, I'm thinking too, Marty, it's a good opportunity for like the parks to have displays about all of the parks and the trails and so forth, and LPC talking about all the land that they've preserved. Each of the some of those, the committees can also take advantage of that, interaction to talk about what Scio is doing.
Well, one thing, for instance, LPC, given that we've seen Big Surprise, we have such a high percentage of the township in tree cover.
Mhm.
So we could talk about that and the map that Norm is producing and where we think we're going, and initiate maybe discussion about how big the tree fund is and who wants to have trees planted, and
Yeah,
that kind
and
of
maybe
thing.
by that time we'll have a policy done. Yeah, and things that like, just the idea that, if an oak tree supports thousands of different species, huge diversity of things, and other trees only support a smaller amount. I mean, just some kind of fun facts of about, if you get into the tree canopy, not all trees are equal. That kind of thing.
It'd be nice for the PPP group also
Yeah.
to talk about,
Mhm.
where they need to have trees.
Yep.
And you guys know,
what kind?
And it's Halloween. We can all dress up like trees, right? Different
and
trees.
you guys know about the effort for if you plant some small square footage of your yard in native plants, you can register it with, what's it called, Backyard National Park or something like that.
Oh yeah. Oh, that'd be
So-
fun.
So
Yeah.
there's an initiative to try and get a certain portion of the nation's suburban backyards, basically, supporting wildlife, supporting nature. So
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
I learned something this.
Here, Kyle, that's something for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I was, I always thought it was phlox that was coming up. And then I was reading about, if it has 4 petals, it's Dame's rocket.
Yeah, that's right.
It's all Dame's rocket. I'm going, oh. Oh, well. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, a whole thing on, some invasive species. I mean, there's just an ocean of things. And Anna will be very excited. She's already said that, she's very excited about that, the opportunity there too. Okay. All right. I think, anyone else have any thoughts? So yeah, if we can get our little groups together, maybe doing some brainstorming and then provide some, pull those things together at that meeting, and then that'll give Kyle and Zoe some ideas too, and they'll, you've been thinking about it as well, and as you're reaching out to folks, maybe other folks will have some ideas. We might even be able to get some electric vehicles, the electric bikes, so maybe people can try out some stuff. That'd be fun from a mobility standpoint. Yeah,
we have an electric motorized vehicle company on Wagner Road. I think it's called Currents something. And when they came in to talk about, to the Planning Commission, this was like 10 years ago when I was the chair, actually, a long time ago. They rode in with 2 or 3 wheelers and rode around the meeting room. To say, well, this is what we do. And it was quite impressive.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Yep. Yeah. I think one of the things on the agenda for the Planning Commission is Lithia Motors, which is I think Suburban. It used to be Suburban. They're proposing a new. They've gone through. This is their final PUD, but they're one of their community benefits is a pretty substantial car charging park, and I haven't I don't think they've uploaded the final plans yet, but I'll be looking at those this weekend. And that'll
They
be,
got rid of Suburban?
well, they were bought out by a company called Lithia, and
Really?
they're out of Oregon, I believe. So they're
Interesting.
the preliminary said they were working on net zero for their buildings, quite a bit of native landscaping and a lot
Are they
of,
going to be in the same place?
no, it is what was the place that was torn down on Jackson Road? It's is it part of it was vacating East Delhi, I think, that spur that goes to 94. It was at the American Broach site, I think.
Oh, there. What's
Yeah.
going to happen to the current Suburban?
I didn't realize this, but that's all leased space.
So the dealership is gone?
They're going to be doing, if I remember right, oh boy, it's Mercedes, Land Rover,
Oh,
and
they're going
BMW, I
upscale.
think.
Really?
Yeah, we
Interesting.
had quite in preliminary. There was some discussion about moving that, west, but some of the things that they were offering as far as the EV stuff was, it, and how they were approaching the site was pretty interesting. So anyway,
The American Brooch, that'll be nice
Mhm.
to have that filled in.
Yeah, right. And it filled in, I think, relatively attractively. And that's fast chargers too. That was their commitment. I don't know, it comes back final engineering, you gotta look at what actually, it comes out, but that's what the intent was. So we'll see. I'm interested in digging into that. Yeah. Okay. I think that's all that I have on my notes. Anyone else have any other announcements? All right. Well, then, with that, enjoy the rest of the evening. Isn't it nice you get out of a meeting and it's still light?
Yeah.
Although smoky.
A little smoky, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the sunsets are interesting.
Yeah, got to go out and see it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all, and appreciate your ongoing work, and look forward to planning that event. It'll be fun. All right.
Will
All
be.
right.
Okay.
All right.